Good afternoon. My name is Alyssa Lynch. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm going to just kind of move into this and say thank you for saying it's a no-brainer. I feel like it is. I was very pleased to hear a lot of members of the panel today, or I should say assembly members and senators on board with funding this for the future, $200 million or above. Shortly, I will introduce my two guests as well. So I want to say that I'm the superintendent for Metropolitan Education District in San Jose. We operate one of the largest career technical education centers in California. We serve 6 school districts, 35 high schools, and we are an extension of our school districts. The programs that we have are just too costly to offer on 35 high school campuses. We maximize the dollars for our districts. So joining me to my right today is Grant Hayden, a former student from Campbell Union High School District. And to my left is Jim Canova, Santa Clara Unified School District and MetroED School Board member. I'm here today because I'm passionate about career technical education, and it deserves the funding. And again, I'm glad you already agree. This shouldn't even be a question if CTE should be funded or not. Math, English, and science, no one ever asks if you're going to fund math or science or English or social studies. CTE provides students the skills that our employers are begging for in California. At a time when Facebook projects 200,000 jobs open over the next 5 years, and California companies are struggling to find well-skilled employees, we can't afford not to fund career technical education. I'm in support of the $500 million being allocated for AB 1743 over the next 5 years. 3 years. And along with that comes the increased accountability, and we're definitely interested in that, and aligning it with the California School Dashboard. However, I'm not in favor of just 3 years of funding. I'm in favor of permanent funding. My first point today is if LCFF is being restored to the 2008 level, then CTE should be restored to the 2008 level, to the $500 million that we had in 2008. When students take a math class in high school, there are 4 different types of math classes that we all know about: algebra, geometry, calculus, trigonometry. There's no debate. All of the classes are funded. When students take a CTE class, there are 4 types of classes. There's a CTE class on a high school campus. There's a CTE class coupled with core academic classes, which I highly emphasize. They are very, very successful. There are 2-hour and 3-hour classes on campuses and centers like ours in San Jose. Centers are often forgotten. They're always forgotten and left out. And then there are the linked learning classes. I believe that those are valuable as well. Legislators need to fund all CTE programs without being competitive, without having to match dollars. I've spent the last 5 years writing grants and matching dollars that I really don't have, and in the future, taking a loan. My second point, students participating in schools and regional CTE centers that provide high-quality, rigorous CTE programs have significantly higher achievement in reading, in math, in science. These students have the integrated learning approach. Their Lexile level is higher. They read at the college level. When they read an automotive manual, it's college and business level. The students learn science in dental. They learn the math in construction. They learn science in veterinarian. They learn to read better in automotive. 93% of the CTE students graduate compared to 80% of non-CTE students. I'm going to also tell you to please take a look at our center data and the data for California to answer some of the questions that were asked earlier. CTE programs reduced the dropout rate. They increased the graduation rate. CTE students are our firefighters. They saved Napa. CTE students are your dentists that take care of your teeth. CTE students are your medical assistants that take care of you. CTE students have been your teachers. CTE students are your veterinarians that care for your pets. They're pharmacists preparing your medication, and auto mechanics that take care of your brakes that can take your life if not done correctly. Without sustained dedicated CTE funding, CTE programs and successful center-based programs are at risk. As the local cost pressures on the school districts are increased and their priorities threaten the viability of these programs, which is why why California is struggling to find talent to fill their jobs. In closing, I was a career tech kid in college, and I've been in public education for 25 years as a teacher. My first year, I was asked to walk to the fax machine to fax my letter of support for dedicated, permanent, ongoing funding for career technical education. I would like this to be the last time that we have to advocate for career tech funding. Please give the state of California the gift of AB 1743 and make it a dedicated, ongoing funding stream for our students and our economy. California is 41st in funding for pupils. We can do better, and we must. We cannot afford not to do this. Thank you, Assemblymember O'Donnell, for bringing this forward. Our students go to college because of career technical education. I need everybody to stop saying it's for those other kids. It's for somebody else's child. I was one of those kids. Finally, I want to acknowledge Michelle Oliveira in the audience in the first row. She was one of my students 25 years ago. It's been a long journey. And I'm going to say no more grants, no more matching. I don't have the staff, and I probably don't have the wherewithal to do this for many more years unless you give us funding and include centers. Centers for the students that need the in-depth look at a career and can get to work right away and continue college. So thank you for your time. I'm going to turn it over to Grant, our testimonial.
Before we go to Grant, do we have any members that want to speak to our superintendent? I just want to acknowledge your very sincere testimony. I think there's many in the audience. I myself have been an educator for 30 years, and I think you state what many of us feel. There's always, I think, in education, there's been some hierarchy, and I know even at the community college, sometimes those that are teaching in the CTE, they're not even included with the regular staff, professors and so forth. They're considered sometimes the off-site. They don't many times even have them in the same campus. They have an office somewhere else. So as I stated, I'm very aware of the grant writing and how intensive that can be and how many need of grant writing, how much time it takes really away from the students you're trying to serve. That really is a full-time job, so thank you. We'll go ahead and with Grant.
Good afternoon. My name is Grant Hayden. I'm 19 years old, and I took 2 classes at SVCTE, our local CTE campus, junior and senior year of high school. And let me start off by saying, and I'll be very, very straightforward with you, I would not be in college if I did not have CTE in high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do before I started going to SVCTE. I had no passion for math or English or to sit at a desk. I like to move around, work with people, and it really gave me a platform to build myself as a person. I definitely wouldn't have the courage to be sitting in front of all of you and talking right now if it wasn't for CTE, because it taught me how to have better communication skills and how to work with people and my communication skills definitely improved because of it in my job and in my life. I'm currently working as a medical assistant in an urgent care clinic, and I also am going to college to become an EMT, which gives me the platform to go to school to be a paramedic. I wouldn't have the tenacity towards education as a college student if I didn't have a goal in my career life, you would say. My goal is to be a firefighter paramedic, and also I would like to be a registered nurse. So without the ability to have the higher level of education that CTE gave me and make a higher wage, I wouldn't be able to afford to pay for my college classes, and I wouldn't have probably wanted to go to college to begin with unless I had a reason to, and I feel that I have a passion and a reason to go to school now. It's very important to me to try to speak not for myself but for the students of the state, low income, lower class, mid class, high class. It doesn't really matter where you're from. I'm from a single parent, single income household, so I guess I speak for more of the middle class, but I think it's imperative to everybody's education to have the opportunity to try things, because if I didn't have the opportunity to try new things, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Grant. Can I ask you a question, though?
Sure.
Great job. What were the 2 classes that you took at the center, and how did you learn about the center?
I learned about the center because I didn't know that there even was, I guess you would say, vocational education or career technical education until I was in high school. I was not a straight A student. I was more of like a high B or low B, high C student. So I wasn't that kid who is going to go straight to a 4-year or going to go straight to a 2-year or knew exactly what they wanted to major in. I still don't necessarily have a declared major. I'm leaning more towards nursing, but I heard about it through word of mouth through older students. I was very social around the school, and I got to know a lot of the older students, and they were taking welding, they were taking machine, they were taking automotive, they were taking a whole range of classes. I actually know a student who's currently attending SVCTE. He took diesel mechanics, and now he's back for welding. Moved out of state, came back, he wants to do welding. I know someone who's in a welding industry because he took welding at SVCTE. I know a student from SVCTE who is now in the Army, and he's going to join law enforcement when he gets out. I know a student who took fire science and is now in law enforcement. So I started in the fire science course because I really thought that I wanted to join the fire department because I'm very passionate about helping and serving people, but I also really like the high standards that they set. And once I was done with that, I was not eligible to take EMT because you have to be 18 years old in the state of California to do that. So I asked my instructor, what should I do now? He said, you should go across the hall and take medical assisting and expand your knowledge in the medical world. And I can say that it strongly helped me understand emergency medicine better by taking that second course. It helped me learn a lot. And I know that for a fact it's given me an advantage over other students, because if you look at my resume, I've done so many things that I would have never done without this program. So I took fire science 2014, 2015, and then I took medical assisting 2015, 2016.
Well, we're very proud of you, and I know that your superintendent is, and I think your testimony really expresses what many of us feel, that we want to make sure as much as possible with public education that not that we track students, but that we have choices for students. So congratulations, and you've done a great job.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to say anything to Grant? Okay, so then we'll go through to the next speaker.
And I know your time is short, so I'll be quick. But the passion that you just heard from our superintendent and our student and Grant is so impressive. Notice how they're speaking from the heart. And I think that's really significant. We are at JPA. We have 6 school districts. I'm Santa Clara Unified, so that's the district that I represent on our MetroED campus. And I have tremendous passion for what we do here. I've been a school board member for many years, a long time. And you know, in education, K through 12 district, it can take years to see the fruits of your labors, whatever it might be, a bond, building new schools, new programs. In CTE, what you see on the MetroED campus, we have students, many students, just like Grant, at every one of our meetings who come out and speak with passion. And when you see how they find that niche, they find that track. And I wanted to speak to something that was said earlier, like there's these two tracks, college and career. No, there's not. I have to say that's 1970s, 80s thinking. That's not 21st century thinking. We're in the Silicon Valley. We see students like Grant who come to our campus, find a niche, find a passion, make a fantastic income, and then go on to college and continue. And for those students who are fortunate enough to be from an affluent family where resources aren't an issue, in Silicon Valley we have a lot of those students at home with mom and dad with shiny new degrees that are not getting traction because it's very expensive to live in Silicon Valley. Our students are very motivated. They come in, they find their niche, they are successful, they make significant incomes. In some cases, they stay in that career track. In some cases, they go on to college and go into new chapters in their life. Some start their own businesses. We have a former student who is now getting recognition in the film industry. He went through our campus, and he started an incredibly successful company. We have... Gosh, there's just so many examples. We could fill this chamber with students. I'm thinking of one student we have who she now works at Tesla in Fremont in the Silicon Valley, and she's on the assembly line, and she's very proud of all the technology involved in installing the rear hatch on Tesla S sedans. This is a new time. This is a new age. This is the 21st century. We just celebrated our centennial last year. San Jose has had CTE since 1917, and I'm telling you right now from the heart, as a governing board member of a K through 12 district and as a representative on this JPA MetroED board, if we don't restore direct funding, we won't be around another 100 years. I promise you that. We need to, and it's a matter of restoration. We lost that direct funding 4 years ago. It needs to be restored. Last point, when you see somebody like Grant and his success in his life, whatever dollars go into this, I assure you many, many, many times that those dollars come back. And the income that he makes and the taxes that he pays, the businesses he may start, the people he may hire, I don't care. Someone mentioned earlier today, he may be gone now, but he talked about this is not a partisan issue. This is not a partisan issue. Our loyalty here is the students of California. Our loyalty is to our state and the success of our people and our kids. I'm passionate. Everyone here is passionate, and we need to restore direct and ongoing funding, nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Assemblymember Kalra.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to, first of all, Grant, thank you so much. I think you articulate the importance of CTE in a way that few can. I mean, as a student that's actually experienced it, and so you did a phenomenal job. And I want to thank all three of you for being here, in particular our superintendent. I think that emotion really speaks, I believe, to the passion that so many of you have for the students that are going through our CTE programs. And I just want to make comments to backing up both what the superintendent as well as our board member here, Mr. Canova, indicated, because I think that in 2018, CTE is as relevant today as probably it's ever been because of the changing nature of our workforce and our economy. And I don't believe it's an either or between career and college. I think it's actually the exact same thing. And when you talk about math, science, and reading, those that are going through CTE while they're in high school, when they are graduating from high school, the way that they're learning their math, science, and reading, that they're more prepared to enter the workforce than those that are focused only on trying to get into college. And we know how valuable that is because, as was indicated, the San Jose metro area is the most expensive place in the country when it comes to rent, when it comes to real estate. And it's an incredibly competitive work market or economic job market. And so I think it's really not realistic, nor is it compassionate or smart for us to see CTE as in some way competing with any kind of educational program preparing folks for college, because the reality is that people need to go to work. They need to be able to afford to live in California. And it doesn't mean that college is not in their future. And you know what? In some cases, it won't be, because they're going to have a great job straight out of high school that will become their career. But they have, and I appreciate Assemblymember Quirk Silva saying choices, because that's what it's about. We want to give all of our students the choices that attract them. And we heard it from Grant that CTE is what led him to his passion. For someone else, maybe it will be something that's an AG college. That's fine. But I think that we need to stop thinking about CTE as a substitute to basic education. The reality is that CTE should never be considered a subsidiary type of education. It really needs to be considered as an equal to going to college, because it may end up on that path, it may not, but the kind of quality education, and I've been, MetroED, so when we're talking about Silicon Valley CTE, I went to Eastside Union High School District, Oak Grove High School graduate, which is part of the JPA. And MetroED is a 5-minute drive from my home, and I've been there many times. And I would just encourage, I know many of the members aren't here now. We obviously have a lot of different meetings and committees to go to, but would encourage them, if they haven't visited a CTE, especially a regional type center, to come to San Jose and come to MetroED, or go to one that's near them. If they haven't been to one, they will not understand the value of the kind of training that happens on these campuses. I've seen it all, from the fire and nurse assistants to building trades type work, to solar panel installation, and on and on and on. And they're learning the basic skills that other students are learning in a hands-on manner, unlike anywhere else. So I'm fully supportive of our CTs, and I agree that we must do whatever we can to get to a place of permanent funding, because to have to keep on fighting, I mean, it's so hard, as we all know, to keep the administration running when you don't know what your next year's budget is going to be, or even your 5-year out, when you're trying to prepare, in this case, 1,500 high school students going through Silicon Valley CTE. That's larger than most high schools in the state. And so, but much more complicated, because you have folks coming from so many different schools. So anyway, I'm a big fan, not just specifically of MetroED and the Silicon Valley CTE program, but of CTEs throughout the state. And I'm very happy we're having this conversation, because we need to make sure that as we look at whether it's retooling the process in which funding comes down, or the amount of funding, that we're doing it with our eyes wide open, and we're doing it listening to those that are actually the practitioners that are serving our students every single day, so that we're not making things more complicated unnecessarily, but we're actually getting the money and the resources to those that know what to do with it. And in this case, in my district, it's MetroED. And there are plenty of others represented here that I know that are doing equally good quality work in their own jurisdictions, and I want to make sure they're all heard as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember, and thank you to our second panel. I really wish all the members had been able to stay, but thank you, Grant. Great job. I would definitely say to those who are listening to go out and visit some of the CTE programs, as I started my comments when we were out in Buena Park. And, of course, the students and the teachers knew we were coming, so but they were not prompted to tell us the things that they would just quietly tell us. And so many of them told us they would not be coming to school had they not been in some of the programs. But one particular is ag in Buena Park, which some people would think, why do you need an agriculture program in North Orange County? Many ways isn't that outdated, but they showed us and told us about not only what they're growing, but of course going to the county farm, but that they're selling literally right now. You can go onto their website and they are selling not only eggs that you can buy every day, but they're doing floral arrangements that you can purchase for events, all of these things that are part of our economy, and what better way, as we say, to learn than them actually becoming these young entrepreneurs. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are we going to start with the next one?